Hey guys, welcome to reacting to a video that was created by Anime America. This was 24 years ago, but when I first found it, it got me to make me understand the difference between HellSing Anime and HellSing Ultimate. So I want to share that with you guys. One more reaction video. So here we go.
Alright, I know a lot of you wanted me to dress up as CL for all of my Halloween videos, but for this video, I'd like to make an exception. After all, this character came in a close second. There we go. Wait a second.
The fuck?
Okay, there we go.
Did she make her anime character flesh glow a little bit?
HellSing. Just thinking about this series gives you a sense of badassery. But the big debate between the fans is which one is the best, the first series or Ultimate? Before we compare, let's go over the history, shall we? The more you know. HellSing started as a manga illustrated by Koto Hirano, and it ran in Young King Hours Publishing from 1997 to 2008. If any of you are interested, the series was released in English under Dark Horse Comics in America and Madman Entertainment for Australia and New Zealand. Like most other anime titles, the manga wasn't finished before the first series aired on December 27, 2003. So of course HellSing was made to be slightly different from the manga series in order to get people interested in reading the original source material. The same can technically be said about HellSing Ultimate, with how the first episode aired in 2006 when the manga finished in 2008. But Ultimate had a slightly peculiar release schedule, as in 1 to 2 episodes were released per year. Yep, this 10-episode OVA special started in 2006 and ended in 2012. A very strange release schedule, which tortured numerous fans. The manga, the anime, and OVA all share a similar plot with the same characters, which covers the story of the HellSing organization, a secret league of royal Protestant knights once led by Abraham van Helsing. The mission of HellSing is to search and destroy the undead and any other supernatural forces of evil that can threaten the country and their queen. On his deathbed, Abraham entrusted the organization to his daughter, Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingate Helsing. But this act put her life in danger as her uncle tried to kill her in order to obtain complete control over the organization. Before he died, Sir Integra's father warned her of the dangers ahead, and that if she were to be threatened by her enemies, she should go down to the last dungeon cell, down the deepest, lowest hall in the manor. There, she would find a dark secret her father carefully hid that would ultimately save her and protect her. With her uncle hunting her down and no other options for her to choose from, Sir Integra runs to the cell and finds her dark answer. The one and only Alucard, the original, most powerful vampire who swore his loyalties to the HellSing family after being defeated by Van Helsing himself. Together, along with her trusted butler Walter and a former police officer turned vampire, Sarah's Victoria, Sir Integra vows to protect all of England while keeping the undead and the Vatican at bay. Did I mention that the show is just badass? Because everything, from the characters, the story, and the animation, is just amazingly hardcore and just so badass. I know I keep saying badass, but I can't help it. HellSing is just so badass. It's just an amazing experience you can't afford to miss out on. But a lot of you beg the question, which one is better? The anime or the OVA? And yes, I do remember what I said last year in my top 10 anime to watch on Halloween. I will admit that at the time, I hadn't fully watched both shows, and I relied on the biased opinions of others who believe Ultimate is better. Now that I've fully watched both HellSing and HellSing Ultimate, I am here to fairly compare the two as I retract my previous statement. Yeah, I can do that. With that said, let's go over the pros and cons, shall we? HellSing Anime. So let's just start off with the disadvantage that HellSing was made before the manga was finished. Naturally, it's going to have a different ending since it has to end one way or another, much like a lot of these titles. So we have 13 episodes telling half of the manga story and ending with a villain just made for the anime. How does it all work out? Very well, if you ask me. With just 13 episodes, HellSing gave us an intriguing show full of well-developed characters and a decent pace of the story. While giving us the inevitable possibilities that took the story down very dark paths, they were at least accompanied by believable characters to handle these difficult situations. It wasn't just Alucard handling everything. No, that'd just be too boring. We were given amazing characters we don't really see in a lot of stories nowadays. Sir Integra is an admirable woman who's strong, highly intelligent, and has a low tolerance to bullshit. She relies on Alucard to handle difficult jobs swiftly and effectively, but knows how to handle other situations while being able to take care of herself. She is quite possibly one of my favorite female characters in anime. With Walter, although we've seen characters like him with James Bond and especially Batman, he is different in his own way. Not only is he a trusting butler who makes amazing weaponry for the HellSing organization, he's also an impressive fighter with a very particular skill. He's efficient, dependable, and deadly. Watch out, Sebastian. HellSing's got one hell of a butler here. Sarah's Victoria, the innocent police girl who gives us the bystander perspective. She went into the police corps to do a job when she was suddenly attacked and forced into the vampire world because Alucard had no other way to save her. So we get an interesting character confused over her situation and her place in life. Should she embrace her vampiric form to be stronger, or keep her integrity and try to remain human as long as she can? And then we have Mr. Badass himself, the man in red, Alucard, the most powerful vampire in the world who loves a strong opponent and tends to make them suffer before they die. It's what he considers fun, since he indulges in the fact that he is a monster. Some would consider the anime didn't really give us a full-rounded character, since all he is a badass vampire, but I sense that's all he wanted us to believe, that he's a monster, nothing more and nothing less. He watches an entertainment as the world evolves in culture and technology, but still remains dark and arrogant as ever, as in nothing really changes over time, and viewing that through his perspective is fascinating. We have all these great characters with all this drama in these dark situations, but we still have to address their attempt to end the series by creating an anime-only villain. Usually in most cases, villains made exclusively for the anime tend to annoy me. Incognito, however, was an interesting addition that perfectly contrasted to the HellSing organization's manner. He's malevolent, mysterious, and a powerful vampire wielding very dark magic. His actions are deplorable, and he literally put the organization in a hopeless situation that was not only brilliant but devastating at the same time. A worthy threat to Alucard, and the situation opened to a side of him we've never seen before thanks to Sir Integra's permission. In the end, he left us with many curious questions about the person who sent him and why, which makes the audience even more curious about the manga in a good way. In some cases where the anime has to end differently, the audience is either craving for more or disappointed enough to want something better, which could be found in the manga. HellSing the anime had a decent ending in my opinion, that can stand on its own while the manga can be its own identity as well. Two different endings for this brilliant show. Years later though, HellSing Ultimate came to fruition with the promise of following the manga. How did it turn out? Let's find out. HellSing Ultimate. The one thing I could say about HellSing Ultimate is it's very overwhelming. Overwhelming with the characters, the art, and the story, in both good and bad ways. The characters are roughly the same with some additions here and there. Sarah's Victoria had some improvements with her situation and transformation, but...
How does it feel now that you're a vampire?
You're too loud, police girl.
What the hell was that? She turned from a struggling woman fighting between her humanity and vampiric tension into a cutesy doll who's mildly inconvenienced over the situation. Was this how she was supposed to be? Because I don't think I like it. She does evolve as the show progresses, but I was worried for a while.
Oh, we under attack again, Master!
Oh, really? Panty shot, really? Oh, come
Fucking
on!
it.
She
It's
deserves better
anime.
than that. I'm just happy they kept Sir Integra the same.
It's fucking anime. Of course there'll have to be a panty shot eventually.
Good. Just be careful not to bite, Sass.
You know, I'm gonna give that scene the benefit of the doubt, since Sir Integra wants Ceres to be stronger and not an inconvenience to the organization, but wow, that was unnecessary fan service. When it comes to Walter, he stayed the same as well. But, okay, I don't want to spoil any details for you all, so I'm just gonna try my very best to crawl around this. His transition towards the end of the show confused me. Can someone explain to me what happened? Why he became that way? Anybody? I watched that episode over and over again, and I'm still confused over what the hell just happened. As for Alucard, boy did they give him a backstory, and they definitely turned him into a tragic being. He still embraces his monstrous identity and indulges in a good fight, but they gave him such sorrowful emotions as they gave him a tragic past full of remorse and regret. It really adds to his character, making him an even more well-developed badass vampire. His full power comes to fruition towards the end, and you see who he used to be many centuries ago. So everything they added to Alucard with his powers, emotions, and multiple personifications, I loved every minute of it. Overall, the main characters were a bit questionable with all these changes and additions, but Alucard truly evolved in this rendition. Now as for the villains, wow. The one comment I read on our top 10 most evil villains list is that a character as strong as Alucard needs the right opponent. This show really went above and beyond when it comes to the villains. The Nazi regime forms into the millennium after 50 years later, full of power and possessed every intention to burn everything down to the ground. The show portrayed them as a truly evil force to reckon with, and they did a good job at it. However, they go a little over the top with some of these characters. The villains are overconfident, arrogant, and amazingly giddy over everything they do, which can be annoying sometimes. I get that they're confident in their skills and their mission, but their extreme behavior was a bit too much, but only for certain characters. The one thing I'll say, though, is I was really impressed with the amount of detail they came up with for the characters and their personalities. Rip Van Winkle sings from her favorite opera, Der Freischütz, as she refers to herself as the lead, Caspar, and is deathly afraid of Alucard, for he reminds her of Caspar's antagonist, Zamiel. Zoran Blitz's inspiration may have come from one of two inspirations. Since her last name means lightning, she may have been referenced from the German military tactic of Blitzkrieg in World War II, but she also could have been an inspiration by a James Bond villain, Max Zorin, who was accompanied by a large, muscular female bodyguard. Just researching these characters and their inspirations are fascinating, but then we get to Schrödinger, a character solely based off of the theory, Schrödinger's cat. For those of you who don't know, imagine a cat being sealed in a box with carefully contained poison. If the box is disturbed by any amount of motion or is open, the poison is released, thus killing the cat. This implies that after a while, the cat is simultaneously alive and dead. But when one looks into the box, they see the cat either alive or dead, not both alive and dead. The creators used this theory and made it into a character, Junior Warrant Officer Schrödinger. I like yet dislike this character at the same time, which almost ties into the theme. He has that convenient power of being everywhere and nowhere at the same time, which allows him to appear at any location and negating any fatal injuries through will and sense of self. So even if someone were to kill him, he can just imagine himself somewhere else and he'll be there. A very interesting advantage which became Alucard's disadvantage in the final volume. I was very unsettled with this approach since it's such a high concept to put Alucard in such a dismay, while at the same time coming from an obnoxiously annoying character. Those ears, his behavior and attitude. I'm happy he was a villain because I truly hated Schrödinger. So what was my favorite scene in Ultimate?
Ladies, welcome!
Shut the fuck up.
I know I didn't kill him, but I just love how fast-paced and hilarious that was. Show it again. Again.
Again.
Again. Again.
Headshot.
This made me happy. crazy and over the top these villains can be, they wouldn't be here if it weren't for their fearless leader, the Major. A war-hungry tyrant who placed first on our top 10 evil villains list for a good reason. For the past 50 years, this man was obsessed with a vision of bloody passion, full of fire, smoke, gunshots, and blood. He's a brilliant leader with all these flawless ideas coming together one after the other, as in he makes sure everything goes according to plan. It makes you wonder though, if things weren't going to his plan, would he still be happy with all the trouble he's caused? My guess is yes, since he thrives on war and hearing people suffer. Just listen to this guy talk. Every word he says is so disturbing that it makes anyone unsettled just by listening to him.
My friends, I like war. No? Friends, I love war. I love holocausts. I love blitzkriegs. I love defensive lines. I love sieges, charges. I love mop-up operations and retreats. It moves me deep within my heart to watch a fresh recruit stabbing over and over into the bloated chest of a long-dead enemy. The sight of deserters being strung up from a street lamp is an irresistible pleasure. And there is nothing more arousing than the sounds made by prisoners of war dropping like flies, screaming in agony as they're mowed down by ear-piercing Schmeissers.
How did they write for this guy? He's so diabolical and twisted that it makes you wonder how someone was capable of creating this obsessed warmonger. He's fascinating. From his speeches to that creepy smile, the Major was an unbelievable challenge to Alucard, which made the show fun to watch. So overall, the characters had their ups and downs, which can also be said for Ultimate Story. Not gonna lie, episodes 4 through 10 were packed with some amazing things for us to witness, but there were some pacing issues here and there. The first 2 episodes were basically faster versions of the HellSing anime, which wasn't that good honestly. Ceres' transformation went by in a flash, and her overall reaction to her being a vampire was disappointing. If anything, the first 2 episodes relied on you remembering the anime in order for you to keep watching. You knew Ultimate would bring us some answers we wanted, and bring the story to an amazing finish. But the first 2 episodes would give new watchers nothing to look forward to, with how fast the story went. It's a vampire! His name's Alucard, and this girl right here, she's a vampire. And oh yeah, here's some jerk named Alexander who'll be Alucard's Gary Oak. Got it? Well, I hope so, cause explosions! There was no real time to connect to these characters unless you already knew who they were from the anime, which really disappointed me. And speaking of Alexander Anderson, the perfect rival to Alucard, who was just a lot of fun to watch in both series, I found him resorting to his desperate last case scenario very disappointing. When he does what he has to do to win, both his followers, Alucard and myself, were like, dude, really? Come on, you're better than this. You can do better than this, Alexander. I was expecting something better from Alexander, but his choice led to a breakdown we didn't expect to see from Alucard. So yeah, I have very mixed feelings about that. Alright, I'll try to start talking positively now. How's the art style? It's beautiful. I guess since it took 6 years to release this series, they really took their time with the animation, and man does it show. This is movie quality, and it's done amazingly well. It's still hard for me to decide which art style I prefer, but Ultimate really stepped up their game when it came to the animation.
It's not like you've done any work, idiot!
I've done plenty of work. I was watching Zorn at the HellSing house and everything.
Oh, yes.
Then again, we get these cheap scenes that were made to make us laugh. But they just annoyed me. It seemed like they were trying too hard to give us a little bit of humor with these scenes, but some of them didn't really feel right. I think the only one I laughed at was the one with Sir Integra and her wanting a helicopter.
I'd like to honor his memory with a new helicopter. What do you say?
You want another one?
Do it for grandfather.
I'll just give it to her. What's the worst thing that could happen? If there's one more thing I have to compare, it's the music. The HellSing anime gave such a cool vibe with its choice of music, with the jazz numbers and the perfect tunes to match the tone of the show. HellSing was one of the most amazing soundtracks in anime. HellSing Ultimate, however, not so much. Don't get me wrong, there were some pieces that fit the tone and atmosphere perfectly, but then there were some questionable choices. The city's up in flames and millions of people are dying. Let's play some J-pop! Because, yeah, that's appropriate. J-pop! Overall, HellSing and HellSing Ultimate have their pros and cons. While one was made shorter with a filler anime, the other was very overwhelming with its characters and very poor story pacing. When you get right down to it, the better anime, in my opinion, is... Neither. Yeah. There is no fair way you can decide which one is better. Yes, Ultimate has an updated art style, a more dangerous villain, and a conclusion that provided answers to many questions that the original anime gave us. But the thing is, though, it feels like you can't watch Ultimate without watching the first HellSing. Like Fullmetal Alchemist and Brotherhood, you get a different experience with each show in which both have their pros and cons. So why choose one over the other? They're both great in their own way. HellSing is a classic that introduced us to these brilliant characters. HellSing Ultimate took what we loved from the first show and expanded it into a huge epic. HellSing is just an unforgettable experience you have to see for yourself. I will say it gets very gory in HellSing Ultimate, but that shouldn't stop you from watching it. If you've never seen the show, what are you waiting for? Funimation.com and Hulu have all the episodes online. Only some of the episodes are in English, though, so I'd rather you guys find the DVDs to watch it in English. After all, HellSing and HellSing Ultimate features some of the best acting I've ever heard in an anime. What more do you want me to say? These shows are amazing, and you all have to watch it. If you're looking for an incredible series with amazing art, memorable characters, and a dark story that perfectly accompanies the man in red, watch HellSing, followed by HellSing Ultimate. Uh-oh. Hey, we got a website. Tuned Anime America.
Oh, that was it. Later, guys.